Y'all know what we are here for. North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson. He's being Madison Cawthorn. Y'all remember Madison Cawthorn? He was a part of that crew with Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. Madison Cawthorn. He was wheelchair bound. They wanted Madison Cawthorn out of Congress after he started spilling the secrets about the parties that they would have. Yeah, the drug-fueled, orgy-fueled parties. And so they started digging and found all of these photographs, found all of his messages that he was sending to an alleged lover via Venmo. Yeah. And Madison Cawthorn got voted out of office. Well, it looks like this is what's happening to Mark Robinson. I got the article right here. I was going to do a hot take because so many people are talking about it. And I said, no, we're going to talk about this article. We're going to read this article from the beginning to the end. Grab your coffee, grab a snack, and let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, Tabitha Speaks Politics. And yes, we are talking about North Carolina's Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson has been a problem for black people since we found out about him 2-3 years ago. And I'm going to tell you, just like I tweeted out there on Twitter, MAGA nuts loved Mark Robinson. They loved Mark Robinson because he came out and spoke out against reparations. He came out and spoke out against the LGBTQIA plus community. He came out and spoke against women's rights, spoke up against women's rights. He talked about not wanting women to be able to vote. He wanted to go back to a time when women couldn't vote. Sure, he came out later and Republicans came out later and said that his comments regarding that was taken out of context. Yeah, he came out and said some horrible things regarding mass shootings. He came out and said that some folks need killing. That's Mark Robinson. Mark Robinson has been a problem for the black community for quite some time now, and that's why MAGA nuts loved him. He was verbally abusive towards black people, the black community, and black culture for some time now, and they latched on to him. He was their mouthpiece, and he was violent and aggressive with the things that he was saying, and the MAGA nuts loved it. They propped him up. He was Donald Trump's boy. Every time you turn around, Donald Trump was talking about Mark Robinson, praising Mark Robinson. Came out and said that Mark Robinson was better than Martin Luther King, something like that. Said that Mark Robinson was like a fine wine. Oh yeah. And now, the great distancing has begun. Oh yeah, they are out there, the Republicans and some MAGA nuts, they are out there distancing themselves from Mark Robinson, deleting posts where they were putting these posts out there on social media because they were proud to be affiliated with Mark Robinson. They're deleting posts, they're deleting tweets. But yet there are some media, there's some journalists out there who are holding these Republicans accountable for their connections to Mark Robinson. Baby, let's get into this article. Like I said, we're going to read it in its entirety. I will put a link to this article down in the description box so you guys can share the link to this article on your social media accounts, or you can just share my video. Okay, so CNN did this expose on Mark Robinson. The truth be told, there has been rumblings about, what's the word I want to use? The deviancy of Mark Robinson for a while now. Dr. Rashad Ritchie did an article talking about Mark Robinson and his frequent trips to adult toy stores in the past. All of that is alleged. I just remember seeing the video that Dr. Rashad Ritchie put out. I'll find a link to that video, because I don't know if this CNN article is going to go into what the political streets are saying about Mark Robinson and his frequent trips to adult toy stores. So be looking for that down in the comment section. But yeah, so the streets have been rumbling about Mark Robinson and his sexual deviancy for quite some time. But CNN has done an investigative report and found and is sharing some of his activities out there on social media sites, porn sites, those types of things. So let's get into this article. CNN is reporting Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a black Yahtzee and expressed support for reinstating slavery. A CNN K-file investigation has found, despite a recent history of anti-transgender rhetoric, Robinson said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography. Mr. Mark Robinson has came out and said some derogatory things regarding transgenders. Let me see if I can find that quote. Here's what he said about transgenderism. I'll put it up on the screen. In a 2021 speech at a church in North Carolina, Mark Robinson described LGBTQ issues, particularly transgenderism, as filth. He stated, quote, "There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth," end quote. And of course, this comment received a boatload of backlash, but he didn't care about that. So, yeah, we're finding out in this article, this investigative piece that CNN has put together, Mark Robinson enjoys watching transgender porn. Despite a recent history of anti-transgender rhetoric, Robinson said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography, a review of archived messages found in which he also referred to himself as a perv. The comments, which Robinson denies making, predate his entry into politics and current stint as North Carolina's lieutenant governor. They were made under a username that CNN was able to identify as Robinson by matching a litany of biographical details and a shared email address between the two. Many of Robinson's comments were gratuitously sexual and lewd in nature. Now, they have found a lot of the posts that he made, which is tied to the username that has been revealed as being Mark Robinson's username on some of these pornographic websites. They're out there. They're on X. I won't share any of them in this video, because when CNN says that they're lewd, they are lewd. They are disgusting. And I'm not saying that. Let me take back disgusting. Whatever floats your boat, that's for you and your partner. For me, it's too hardcore, too graphic for me to share in this video. Okay? They're out there on Twitter if you want to go out and take a look. They were made, these comments were made between 2008 and 2012 on Nude Africa, a pornographic website that includes a message board. The comments were made under the username Mini Soldier, and Soldier is abbreviated, a moniker Robinson used frequently online. Robinson listed his full name on his profile for Nude Africa, as well as an email address he used on numerous websites across the internet for decades. CNN is reporting only a small portion of Robinson's comments on the website given their graphic nature. Many of Robinson's comments on Nude Africa stand in contrast to his public stances on issues such as abortion and transgender rights. Publicly, Robinson has fiercely argued that people should use bathrooms only that correspond to the gender they were assigned at birth. He's also said transgender women should be arrested for using women's restrooms. Quote, if you're a man on Friday night and all the sudden Saturday you feel like a woman and you want to go in a woman's bathroom in the mall, you will be arrested, or whatever we gotta do to you, end quote. Robinson made this comment at a campaign rally in February 2024. Quote, we're going to protect our women, end quote. Yet privately, under the username Mini Soldier on Nude Africa, Robinson graphically described his own arousal as an adult from the memory of secretly, quote, peeping on women in public gym showers as a 14-year-old. Robinson recounted the story as a memory he said he still fantasized about. Quote, I came to a spot that was a dead end but had two big vent covers over it. It just so happened it overlooked the showers. I sat there for about an hour and watched as several girls came in and showered, end quote. This is what Robinson wrote on Nude Africa. CNN goes on to state, CNN is not publishing the graphic sexual details of Robinson's story. Again, you can go out there on Twitter and find them. Quote, I went peeping again the next morning, but after that I went back, the ladder was locked. So those 2 times were the only times I got to do it. Memories, end quote. In other comments on Nude Africa, Robinson discussed his affinity for transgender pornography. Quote, I like watching tranny on girl porn. That's fucking hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in. And yeah, I'm a perv too, end quote. In an interview with CNN on Thursday, Robinson repeatedly denied that he made the comments on Nude Africa. Quote, this is not us, these are not our words, and this is not anything that is characteristic of me, end quote. This is what Mark Robinson said in an interview that he did with CNN. He was presented with the litany of evidence connecting him with the Mini Soldier username on Nude Africa. Robinson said, quote, I'm not going to get into the minutia of how somebody manufactured this. These salacious tabloid lies, end quote. CNN first reached out to Robinson Tuesday morning with evidence connecting him to the comments on Nude Africa. It took his campaign 2 days to respond and issue a denial. During his interview with CNN, Robinson repeatedly said the issues that faced North Carolinians were more important than what he called, quote, tabloid trash, end quote. And he steered the conversation toward attacking his opponent in the race, Democrat Josh Stein, the state's attorney general. Quote, "We are not getting out of this race. There are people who are counting on us to win this race," end quote. He said that because there are calls out there from Republicans. They are calling for him to exit the race. But at this point, how would they put in a new candidate? Because aren't ballots already printed up? Anywho, a history of controversial statements. This is CNN. Campaigning for lieutenant governor in 2020, Robinson advocated for a complete abortion ban with exceptions. He later expressed regret in 2022 for paying for his now wife to have an abortion in the 80s. Here's a video clip of him having this conversation where he admits that he and his wife, his now wife, then girlfriend, got an abortion.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, here with my wife Yolanda. In recent days, a Facebook post I made 10 years ago has resurfaced where I referenced paying for an abortion. Over 33 years ago, before we were married and before we had kids, we had an abortion. It was the hardest decision we have ever made. And sadly, we made the wrong one. This decision has been with us ever since. It's because of this experience and our spiritual journey that we are so adamantly pro-life. We know what it's like to be in that situation, and we know the pain that an abortion causes. For everyone that has had this experience and carries that burden, we want you to know you are not alone.
So now CNN is going into where Mark Robinson had some terrible things to say. He mocked shooting victims, mass shooting victims, specifically the shooting that took place down in Parkland, Florida. Now campaigning for governor, he says he supports a so-called heartbeat bill that would ban abortion when a heartbeat is detected approximately 6 weeks, with exceptions for rape, incest, and the health of the mother. But writing as mini soldier on Nude Africa in December 2010, Robinson said he did not care about a celebrity having an abortion. Quote, "I don't care. I just want to see the sex tape," end quote. In another thread, commenters considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was raped by her taxi driver while intoxicated. In response, Robinson wrote, quote, "And the moral of this story, don't F a white B," end quote. Robinson, who would become North Carolina's first black governor if elected, also repeatedly maligned civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., attacking him in such intense terms that a user accused him of being a white supremacist. Here's what Mark Robinson had to say about Martin Luther King, quote, "Get that effing commie bastard off the National Mall," end quote. Robinson wrote this about the dedication of the memorial to King in Washington, D.C. by then President Barack Obama. Robinson also goes on to say, quote, "I'm not in the KKK. They don't let blacks join. If I was in the KKK, I would call him Martin Lucifer Coon," end quote. That's what Mark Robinson had to say. CNN's reporting on Robinson's comments comes a few weeks after the Assembly, a North Carolina digital production, reported that Robinson frequented local video pornography shops in the 1990s and the 2000s. The story cited 6 people who interacted and saw him frequent the stores in Greensboro, North Carolina, A spokesperson for Robinson called the story false and a complete fiction. This is the story that Dr. Richard Ritchie did the video on. Again, look in the description box and you'll find a link to it. Despite earning the full endorsement of former President Donald Trump and the North Carolina Republican Party, Robinson faces an uphill battle in the race for governor against Josh Stein. Robinson's history of controversial remarks, including mocking school shooting survivors, his past support for total abortion bans without exceptions for rape or incest, and disparaging the civil rights movement have been a consistent theme in the race. Recent public polling shows Robinson is losing to Stein. And so now they're going into how they identified the username Mini Soldier as Mark Robinson. On the Nude Africa site, in both comments and his profile, Mini Soldier offered numerous details that align precisely with Robinson's personal history. In his profile, Mini Soldier listed his full name as Mark Robinson and disclosed a private email address Robinson used elsewhere online. In 2012, a user responded to a comment by calling Mini Soldier Mark. Mini Soldier mentioned in 2008 being married for 18 years, which corresponds with Mark Robinson's marriage to Yolanda Hill in 1990. In 2011, Mini Soldier wrote he had been married 21 years. Mini Soldier wrote in a 2011 post that he lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, the same time where Robinson lived at the same time and currently lives. In a post in 2012, Mini Soldier said he served in the Army in the 1980s during the same time period as Robinson. In his sexually graphic comments detailing watching women in the showers in 2011, and oh baby, that CNN describes that as graphic. No. The other comments that he has made, they are 100 times worse than him talking about watching women in the showers. Mini Soldier wrote that his mother worked at a historically black college and university. Robinson's mother worked as a custodian at North Carolina A&T State University and HBCU located in Greensboro. Both Mini Soldier and Robinson often posted about the same topics online, including reviews for remote-controlled helicopters, their attraction to specific celebrities, and their favorite Twilight Zone episodes. The email address associated with Mini Soldier on Nude Africa was also used by Robinson elsewhere online and social media. On the commenting platform Discus, a user who joined in April 2011 features Mark Robinson's photo under the username Mini Soldier. Usernames and email addresses from Discus were publicly leaked online in 2017, according to the company. CNN confirmed that Robinson's username Mini Soldier on Discus shared the same email address as the one used on Nude Africa. Robinson's Discus page is also linked to the Black social networking site Black Planet. The web archive shows a username Mini Soldier described themselves as 40 years old in February 2009, the same age as Robinson at the time, and living in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is Robinson's hometown. A username often used by Robinson. Robinson has frequently used the username Mini Soldier elsewhere on the internet. On X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, Robinson once used the Mini Soldier username according to a screenshot he shared on Facebook in 2018 and data in Robinson's old tweets. A YouTube playlist for a username Mini Soldier features exclusively videos of Robinson. On Pinterest, a user, Mini Soldier, lists his name as Mark Robinson. The Mini Soldier username has also posted reviews of products and places Robinson has also publicly recommended. On Amazon, a user named Mini Soldier reviewed products frequently shared by Robinson on Facebook, including remote controlled helicopters, and the same email address and username used on Nude Africa also left reviews on Google for two local businesses Robinson later posted on Facebook that he used. Robinson's unique choice of language further links him to the Mini Soldier alias on the pornographic forums. Uncommon phrases such as gag a maggot, dunderhead, I don't give a frog's ass, and I don't give two shakes of it were used both by Mini Soldier on Nude Africa and by Robinson on his personal Facebook page. Robinson, as Mini Soldier, stated slavery is not bad. In the pornographic forums, Robinson revealed his unvarnished thoughts on issues such as race, gender, and abortion. Writing in a forum discussing black Republicans on October 2010, Robinson stated, unprovoked, quote, I'm a black Nazi. That same month, Robinson wrote in another post that he supported the return of slavery. Quote, slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring slavery back. I would certainly buy a few. End quote. In March 2012, Robinson wrote that he preferred the former leader of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, over the leadership in Washington during the administration of Barack Obama. Quote, I take Hitler over any of the ish that's in Washington right now. End quote. Robinson's comments on Nude Africa often frequently contain derogatory and racial slurs directed at black, Jewish, and Muslim people. In a series of 7 posts in October 2011, Robinson disparaged Martin Luther King in such intense terms, calling him a commie bastard, quote, worse than a maggot, a whole effing phony, and a huckster, end quote. That's a user in the thread accused him of being in the KKK. Robinson responded by directing a slur at King. In October 2010, Robinson used the anti-Semitic slur, I won't say it, when discussing how he liked the show Good Times, developed by Norman Lear, saying, quote, the show itself was a bunch of written liberal BS, end quote. While discussing the Taliban, he referred to Muslims as, quote, little rag-headed bastards, end quote, and said that if Muslims, quote, if Muslims took over, liberals would be the first ones to be beheaded, end quote. Robinson also used homophobic slurs frequently, calling other users the F word. In a largely positive forum discussion featuring a photo of two men kissing after one returned from a military deployment, Robinson wrote the sole negative comment, quote, that's some old sick AF BS, end quote. And that is the article read in its entirety. I will put some of the screenshots that CNN included in the article right here. Now, of course, Mark Robinson did an interview with CNN where he was asked about this article and what it alleges. And this is what some of what Mark Robinson had to say in that interview.
News media is at it again. My opponent is at it again. You all have seen the half-truths and outright lies of Josh Stein on these ads over and over again. And now a story leaked by him to CNN is appearing now. Let me reassure you, the things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson. You know my words, you know my character, and you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before. Folks, this race right now, our opponents are desperate to shift the focus here from the substantive issues and focus on what you are concerned with to salacious tabloid trash. We cannot allow that to happen. And folks, we've seen this type of stuff in the past as well. Clarence Thomas famously once said he was the victim of a high-tech lynching. Well, it looks like Mark Robinson is too, by a man who refuses to stand on stage and debate me about the real issues that face you. Instead, they want to focus on salacious tabloid lies. We're not going to let them do that. We are staying in this race. We are in it to win it. And we know that with your help, we will.
And that is it, y'all. That is the Mark Robinson controversy in its entirety. And yeah, I didn't know Mark Robinson was losing the gubernatorial race in North Carolina. And that was before all this article came out. He was losing to his Democrat opponent, Josh Stein. Yeah, he was losing so bad that, and these rumblings of his history and the investigation that was taking place by CNN and his frequent visits to adult toy stores back in the day, and him having to come out and admit that he and his wife did have an abortion when she was his then girlfriend. All of the horrific things, the violent things that he has had to say, they've been wanting him to drop out of the race. He says it's a hit piece. I call it him being Madison Cawthorn. Because, baby, when they wanted Madison Cawthorn out of Congress, they did something very similar to this. They did the same thing to Matt Gaetz, although it didn't stick to Matt Gaetz. The folks in Florida still voted Matt Gaetz into another term, but it wasn't as graphic as what they are doing to Mark Robinson and what they did to Madison Cawthorn. And all I've got to say is I love this for Mark Robinson. You shucked and jive. You shucked and jive, but you've been shucking and jiving for years. This is who you are. If you were doing all of this and saying these types of things back in the early 2000s, this is who you are. A sexual deviant with some issues about who you are as a black man in this country. And this is the man that Donald Trump praised and said is better than Martin Luther King. This is the man that Donald Trump has put his support behind. And now that we know all of this, it further proves to us that Donald Trump is a poor judge of character. But all of these people are similar. They are alike. The birds of a feather flock together, and they support each other. Because look at what Donald Trump has been accused of. This is why they are all coming together as a group. Mark Robinson, I hope there is no coming back for you from this.